Pop of the morning, everybody, and welcome to Popcorn Culture. As always, I'm your one true host, Jazzy J, joined as usual by my brother, the one true co-host, Buzzy Benjamin B. How are you, Ben?
I'm good. I'm fine. I think I'm sad, but like not sad at the same time because the hostmanship has once again changed hands. And in fact, last week we had pre-recorded the episode, and unbeknownst to us, I believe we even talked about the possibility.
We like joked about the possibility.
Yeah, with the possibility that I started, because at this point in time we didn't know. We were so far ahead, we didn't know whether or not I would be the host.
Yeah.
And then you took over reign because we have a couple of meddling patrons.
We sure do. Big shout out to Emily Stock and Dola, who switched some teams around at the high tiers and swayed the votes. And thank you so much. It was funny because it was like, oh no, like, what if I'm the host? That's definitely going to happen. And then it did happen, but it like independent of them hearing it.
I know, yeah,
was
which was really funny. So anyway, last week I think we technically, if we go to the hostmanship leaderboard, I do think we should give you the tally for last week's, because even though we just did it incorrectly,
right?
Per our lack of knowledge,
yes. Which means I'm up to 4.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Take that, Host Neither.
Host Neither is going down. I've basically doubled my lead on them. I believe it's like 136 to 4 to 2.
Yeah, it's neck and neck.
It's neck and neck, breakneck speed. We were doing just some very quick math the other day when Ethan showed us the scoreboard he came up with. And it was like, I was like, you know what? I could be in the lead for like 2 years in a row, and I still wouldn't have hosted more than you.
I feel like that is probably the best argument that you could give, though, to really rally those Jazzy J troops.
Oh, right. Like, don't even worry. You Buzzy B people, don't even worry about it. You can let your foot off the gas for like a really long time, and it will still not matter.
In the big picture.
So just do it.
Anywho, I feel like we've got a lot of updating to do because you and I have had a rather uncommon experience for our brotherhood, which is the fact that we have spent the last 2 weeks of our lives completely apart from one another.
Yes.
This is not typical because almost always we're either working together all the time, or when we go on vacation it's just also together.
Yeah.
There are the occasional circumstances where like I might be out of town or you might be out of town for like a single week. But this go round, we planned it kind of poorly, I think, but it worked out that I was gone for 1 full week from the office, and then you were gone for 1 full week from the office.
Yep.
And as a result, I feel like there's so much that has happened.
Yeah, there has been, there's a lot of, you had a whole trip, I had a whole trip, and we didn't see each other. And it was we each had not only did we each have a trip away from each other, but then we each had a week at the office away from each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
It is interesting, and it's always so stressful. Like I don't think I ever realized how much it helps to have the other person, especially when it comes to like script writing for the Super Carlin Brothers channel. Yeah. It's like you kind of get like into this like rhythm or whatever, and you're like, but like, would Bruno have the weakest power out of everybody in Encanto? And it's like, I need to ask somebody about that.
Oh, I guess I'll just have to decide.
I guess I'm just gonna go and make that decision on my own. I like went home, so that was the video that I recorded without you, and I feel like I went home and was like, there's so many ways why seeing the future could be so much more useful. I'm gonna get raked across the coals for this one.
I didn't see anyone successfully argue why that would be a more useful power than anything else.
Okay. I do think it's an interesting conversation, though. So basically, to give the short version of it, the question is, of the powers of Encanto, if each one was given like their own MCU origin story, whatever, like which of these characters would ultimately become the most powerful? Yeah. In like an end game level event, who can actually like land a blow on Thanos? And that's actually not the argument I had at all. But is there anybody that you think is the most powerful out of the Encanto characters?
I mean, at At first glance, I mean, it just depends on what you're defining as like power in terms of like useful. Like if it's like just,
I can give the stipulation I gave in the video, which is that it was who could do the most good for humanity.
okay.
And so my explanation was that Julieta, who is Mirabel's mother, could do quite a bit because she has the ability to basically heal anybody worth her cooking power. So I was like, okay, so I mean, if she cooks a giant vat of rice and everybody eats 1 grain of that rice, are they all healed of everything?
Right.
Like how much needs to go into?
Yeah, like how? Yeah, what constitutes Julieta having made the dish? Like if you get a giant pot and she's just the one who pours all the rice into it and turns it on and cooks it, then could you, just like start sending those little like rice packets to everyone in the country?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of my thinking. And I found a really cool art exhibit while I was researching for the video that showcased what population sizes looked like in terms of grains of rice. So it was in the UK, and there was like, it was basically about what would come off the back of like a dump truck. It's like that much rice is just the US population.
Okay.
So it's a lot of rice.
Yeah.
But I still don't think
not
it's
more than you could cook in a single day.
I mean, as long as you had a big enough vat, definitely.
Yeah.
Not.
And given what you're trying to do, which would be mass produce cooked rice you could give to almost everybody, I think absolutely it's easy enough to then invent the pot that can cook the rice.
No, Jay. Our stipulation is we must use like a standard kitchen size pot.
just got a regular pot here. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah. So that was my argument for my number 2 spot. And then my number 1 spot was Isabella basically has the ability to solve like world hunger by growing crops, as well as like can grow forests back instantly, which would really help with like the ecosystem.
Oh man, you're right. She'd just be like, and forest.
And forest, yeah. So it's like, because Peppa sort of has this angle with the weather where it's like she could solve global warming effectively by being able to like properly control like what is where and when and everything.
I suppose, yeah.
But I felt like she came with like this light liability issue, which was effectively that like, to no fault of her own, because everybody's entitled to emotions, but because her powers are also tied to her emotions, it meant that like if she's having a particularly bad day, how many people are then impacted by that bad day?
Yeah.
So that was where I kind of like docked her a couple of points. But yeah, Isabella basically can grow crops everywhere, and they're like happy, healthy crops that she can grow with like essentially the flick of a wrist.
Yeah.
And she could go through, and she could even like turn deserts into like oasis.
Oh man, I suppose so. Yeah, I guess, like, would stuff die quickly after it grew?
It's possible that it would.
Yeah.
It's possible.
But you can grow, like, lots of cactuses even.
Even lots of cactuses. Even you'd be providing a lot more environment. That was another one is, for so many, like, endangered species, a lot of times it comes down to there not being a sufficient amount of the necessary, like, vegetation or environment for them to continue to exist in.
Yeah.
And so it's like, just fix that right away. You know, like...
This is the question of, like it does, and like to the extent of Julieta's healing power, then like if it can heal like any given ailment, does that count for like cancer?
See, that was my thinking, is that it does count.
Okay,
like,
so
which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. So okay, then would it? This is sort of like a weird question to say, like, would food solve this? But would food solve, like, if you're starving and you ate like a grain of rice from Julieta, would you like be like, oh, I'm not starving anymore?
Ooh, I don't think so, because that's not like I don't think so, because it's not like an illness.
Right.
It's not like I mean, I guess like
even
it
might
like
be starting to cause some other problems though.
It maybe what it could do is like solve like your dehydration, possibly.
Interesting.
Because in some cases, I would imagine that is like the cure for your ailment. In the same way that like if you have like a broken arm, you know, like you're not like technically like sick in the capacity that you have like come down with something.
Yeah.
You have just like sheared a bone inside of your body.
Yeah.
And it seems like that still works.
Yeah, that heals pretty instantly, it looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is, like, if you have Julieta's power, you don't need medicine of any kind at all anymore.
It's true.
Almost,
yeah, like
right?
the entire like world of pharmaceutical industry is just gone.
Right. Like, this is all because, like, realistically, all you have to do is just have Julieta making massive batches of rice every single day, and then just have people. You can just putting a single grain of rice in a pill, and like, okay, there you go.
Oh yeah, I know. I thought about that exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's like just literally. I mean, this is already effectively like what like a piece of medicine looks like.
Right.
Is a grain of rice, like,
Right.
in some capacity.
Just put it in there. Put those in the bottles. Put those on the shelves. It's pretty much. I mean. I don't know. That seems really powerful to me.
It does seem really powerful.
Because it seems easy to mass produce. It's not like you need like lots of weird chemicals to make the medicine. You don't need tons of like research or anything. It's just like magic. So I took grains, and now they're magic cure-alls for literally everything all the time.
Not to mention rice is like just one of the most abundant crops.
So I'm going with Julieta. That's just my answer. It's too powerful. It's like I feel like you could scale rice. There's more grains of rice than people in the world, certainly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This feels like that's how it would go. So that's my answer.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, and this is like one of those though where it came down to it's like Camillo has like the ability to shapeshift, which was interesting because we were talking about it in office, and Riley immediately, who has been like he's our video editor, and he had been rewatching all of the X-Men movies with like Mystique.
Yeah.
And he's like, ooh, she does like everything, and it's like very useful as part of like a
like espionage,
like an espionage superhero based like team or whatever. and certainly if you have like grand ambitions of like taking over the world, there's a lot you can do with it. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
However, again, through that filter, through that lens of like what provides the most good to the most number of people, even the ability to go and like impersonate like the most leaderist person of the entire world, like you're still not them, like they're still better at being them than you are at being them, right?
I guess so, probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, I suppose there's some elements to it that could be pretty useful, shape-shifting and whatnot.
Yeah. Doesn't seem as useful on such a wide scale, though.
Right. Especially not as like healing every single person on Earth.
I mean, just imagine no one's sick ever.
At all.
Like, you remember the COVID pandemic? Have you heard of it? Gone. Doesn't even happen.
Everybody had to eat their one grain of rice.
Yeah, that's basically it. You just, anytime you're like, you have symptoms, boom, gone. It's dead.
Yeah.
There you go. Easy.
Solved. Okay. Moving on then though. So you and I both were out of town. I went to Vermont, which was a very exciting trip for me.
And you brought Addison.
And so the town that we go to in Vermont is actually called Addison, Vermont. And that is where she got her name from. Nice. And so it was like a very momentous occasion for me arriving like on location with Addie.
Yeah.
I got like super like happy tears.
Sure.
As I like got out of the
Makes
car.
sense.
I went and like immediately grabbed her out of the car seat and like walked down to the dock and just like we like stared off, and I felt like she could just like tell.
She could just tell.
Yeah, she was so giddy and laughing and like super excited. I mean, maybe it was just from finally being able to get out of the car.
Also true.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. But I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty magical place up there.
It is.
There's no doubt.
It's a very magical place.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. That was like a very big, exciting moment for me. While we were there, she started crawling, which was
That's
like
awesome.
pretty huge. She's officially out of the potted plant stage, as we've been kind of referring to it, which is like where you could set her down and she would just continue to be there.
Yes, right. It's like there's something nice about that.
There is something nice about that. It's definitely been one of those where Allie and I like, set her down, turn around again, and she's like halfway across the room, and you're like, oh dear.
Oh no! Could she go up the stairs yet, or has she tried?
She hasn't tried that yet. She's still. I would say she's still like a novice crawler.
Gotcha.
So she's not a quick scamper yet, but she's doing well. But yeah, the other really big thing about this trip was I brought the boat up. Which I had brought home from Vermont 2 years ago.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Like a 12-hour trailering experience to get this thing back to my house. And then it was like, well, I really want to have it up there. So I guess I'll...
Well, that's the thing. It's like, if you're going to the lake, it's like, well, yeah, you gotta have a boat if you're going to the lake.
Gotta have the boat.
And it's like, and I have a boat, and this is sort of its spiritual home. So, really, there's really no way around it.
It was really like one of those things though where I was like, it's like I'm gonna drive because it's 12 hours up, 12 hours back. It's like I'm going to drive 24 hours towing something.
Yeah.
And it's like if you've ever towed anything in your life, it's just it's not that bad. It really isn't, but it's just a little bit extra stressful.
I mean, for sure, it's a little bit. And then, like, I can just imagine, like, even pulling over to get gas is suddenly like, okay, now I'll make sure the boat's not in the way, or where are we going to park the truck while we go inside and pick up snacks, or
Yep.
all those sort of things are in play. Going in reverse with the trailer is like a real skill.
It is,
Yeah.
because everything is backwards. So you
Yes.
have to like turn the steering wheel the perceived wrong way in order to get the trailer to go the correct way.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a learning curve. So this was the other kind of like interesting thing that kind of happened with the boat was that I have had such a time trying to figure out how to like title both the boat and the trailer, which are separate entities from one another. And I swear this is like one of those things where it's like everyone's car is titled, like everybody like goes through that experience. But when you get your car at the from like a dealership or whatever, they pretty much handle all of the setup for you.
Right.
And like, I just did not know what to do. I was so intimidated by the process, and the boat has to be done through like the Department of Games and Inland Fisheries, and the trailer has to be done. True. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The trailer has to be done through like the DMV. So it took me 3 trips to the DMV, like 5 letters to.
Is a boat not a motored vehicle?
It is, but it's not on the road.
But it's just the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true. It does have a motor and it is a vehicle. So
Were you at DMV?
I know.
I
I was frustrated to discover this, and I will also tell you that it's not obvious that this is even the case either. So I was like, DMV website, how to register my boat, like going through all this stuff. So anyway, 3 trips to the DMV later, finally got the trailer done. Finally was able to get like all the necessary like credentials mailed off to Games and Inland Fisheries to get like my registration intact. And I'm like, okay, it's all good. It's all there. I'm solid. And so I put like the new like Virginia license plates on the trailer, and I'm all jazzed about that. I put new trailer lights on it so that like everything's all fresh and it works and has new wires and all the rest. And so we're driving to Vermont, and we left like after work so that like Addie could effectively like just go to sleep in the back, and like we could just go as far as we could make it in the first night. When I have this tractor trailer come like hauling up next to me, he's just flashing his lights, he's like honking his horn. I'm like, man, like I don't know what I'm doing wrong right now. And so he goes by and he's just like, he has like the lights on in his cab, and he's just smiling, but he's like drastically like pointing like at the boat. And I'm like, oh goodness, like did I lose? Is the boat still back there?
Yeah,
like is this still on the trailer? I'm like, oh no. Or like, do I have a flat tire on it? Or like what, am I scraping the motor on the interstate for the past like 30 miles or something? I mean, my mind's going like in a million different directions. So we pull off on the edge of the interstate, like a gas station, and I like walk around back, and I'm like, everything looks fine. And I look down, and one of my taillights has just completely come unscrewed and is just dangling.
Oh.
And then my license plate, one of the screws on the license plate had vibrated out, and so it's dangling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Ben, how unqualified were you to do this entire experience from start to finish?
Oh man.
So
well, it's not like easy fixes.
Huh?
Was it like an easy fix?
It was a pretty easy fix, yeah. Fortunately, I was able to find a couple of like bolts that happened to fit, and I brought tools with me, and I actually ended up just taking like a bucket of zip ties and zip tying the license plate like to the trailer like 6 different ways. Yeah.
Not coming off now.
I know. You are one with the trailer. Anyway, so that was just getting the boat, there
right
in the first place. But once we were there, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I got everybody to try water skiing.
Nice.
Which was like very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of these like rites of passage where I think there's like it's just intimidating enough to like go and hop in the cold water and be behind like the boat that smells like burning motor oil and like the whole thing.
You're sort of
like
floating around there, and it's like you're trying to get set, and the boat lurches forward at like a quarter of a mile an hour, but you got to hold on, and it's like you're slowly moving forward, and it's like wait, I got to move over, and what do you do?
It's a whole process.
Yeah,
it's a whole process, and then not to mention like people talk about like jumping into water from high places. And it's like, if you jump from like, 50 feet or above, it's like landing on concrete. It's like, you want to know what's like landing on concrete? Going like 30 miles an hour behind a boat.
It's effectively the same situation.
It is. It is. It's just like you're a lot closer to the water. You're just going faster.
Yeah.
Relative
hitting
to,
at a more of an angle.
Yeah.
Flat on.
But the thing is that I swear I think it's just like one of these experiences that like gets people to like open up, like come out of their shell a little bit because they've like overcome a fear.
Did everyone do it?
Everyone tried it.
Yeah.
Alice, I think like I feel like given the opportunity, like maybe like 5 more tries.
Yeah,
I think she
had it.
I think she'd be just boom right out of the water.
No problem.
All would be well. Addison was the most impressive.
Impressive,
though. I mean,
right up, boom.
From crawling to water skiing in one fell swoop,
just like that.
Very
easy
impressive.
peasy.
Yeah, no big deal.
Never doubted
no
it.
big deal. Anyway, so that was the trip to Vermont. It was so much fun. We were blown away at how much Addison's sleep schedule actually like perfectly kept us on task the entire time, because we'd wake up and it'd be like 6:45, 7, because that's just when Addie wakes up. Everybody would just kind of like scrape themselves out of bed, have breakfast, like up for like a 2-hour wake window, and then she would go down for like a 2-hour nap. The moment she was down, everybody's like, boom, game on, time to like do all the activities.
Right.
Which 2 hours ends up being a great amount of time to do activities. And then it's like, hey, lunch.
No one felt that they could do activities without you while Addison was awake.
Well, Jay, I mean, pretty vital. To
all
experience. No, absolutely. No. I think probably just because I was the one who could like drive the boat.
Okay.
Do that type of stuff. So I think there was a little bit of dependency on me for certain activities, but it was good to do it like in bursts. I know you've witnessed this before, even in Vermont, where like there's so many things you can do, and getting everybody on board to do something is not always like easy. There's always somebody who's got like a dissenting opinion that's like, I don't want to go do that. It's like, yeah, but everybody else does, and so like we don't want to like.
We'll just see you later. All right, bye.
All right, bye. But yeah, so I think because it was like these like bite-sized like chunks of time, it was so effective at getting everybody to be like go for it. Like now is the time. We have the moment. We have the window. So let's go play.
Boom.
And so I think it worked out super well. And so just rinse and repeat the whole day. We'd have like these like 3 2-hour like blocks.
Yeah.
To just like get stuff done.
I understand. This is basically how my weekends go.
Oh,
more
really?
Or less. Yeah. That's just like, of course, it's only like 1 2-hour block on each Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Like during the kids' like quiet / nap time.
How much do you plan how that time will go?
Oh, I mean, I'm thinking about it like all week.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
It's like Saturday at noon. It's on.
It's on. And of course, but it's like what it's on for is like it's so weird being a parent, because like I'll walk, like sometimes I'll be like walking past like my little flower bed every single day of the week, and I'll be like, man, the weeds are just like uncontrollable. And it's like I can't work on the weeds right now. I'm gonna have to go inside and like do dinner and get the kids to bed, and then it'll be dark out, so I can't like I'll be like thinking about like, okay, so Saturday, this is it. I'm like. I'm doing weeds, I'm doing it. And then, because then it's like, if I don't do it, then I'm going to have to be worrying about it all next week too. And it's like a weird thing. You start looking forward to. It's like, but at least I'll be doing it. And then I won't be bothering me anymore.
Yeah.
Or like right now it's like I've got like toilet that I think it's like running extra. I'm like, I need to be able to like sit down. I think I can fix, I think even I have the plumbing capacity to fix this problem.
Yeah.
To fix this problem right now. I think it's just a matter of switching out like the rubber stopper thing. And I have the rubber stopper thing. But what I'm not going to be able to do is find 10 minutes of time ever where someone's not going to bother me while I do what is undoubtedly going to be like a lightly frustrating task.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That I feel like is the thing. Like once you're a parent, like there are so many little things that it's just like, this is going to be lightly frustrating. It's not going to be like, pull this out, put this in, done. It's going to be like, I have to pull this out. I'm going to figure out just like a bunch of like clinky, frustrating pieces and fidget with it a bit. I'm sure I can do it. It's just going to be like, I know it's going to feel like a 3-minute task. That's probably going to be like a 30-minute task. And it's impossible.
You're making me so happy right now with the way you're describing this, because it's so spot on. It's like, I do think though that this is like how like you almost start to become like you like can almost witness it happening, that you're becoming like who your parents were.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's like the types of things they like wanted you to get done so badly, or like to help them with, or whatever. It's like these are the weekend assignments. We need to go and fix this thing. Like we're going to go and do it together.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like there is a small amount of like you just being able to solve a problem comes with so much like a sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
That it's really great. But this was another one that I had actually on the trip to Vermont, where again with the trailer, it's like it's a 1973, so it's older, it's rusted, like it could really use like a fresh paint job. And while that's not nearly as fancy as like painting a car, which you would do like with a series of professionals and sanding and buffing and waxing and I don't even know all the steps, but you know, what I'm thinking is like taking a roller with white paint and just doing it.
I think that'd be pretty effective for your trailer.
Yeah, but the problem is that you need the boat to not be on the trailer in order to do that. And so often now when I take the boat out on the weekend, I am with the boat when it's not on the trailer, and the trailer stays in the parking lot where I just dropped it into the lake.
Like, because where you're how are you even gonna get the boat off if it's not in the water?
Exactly. Yeah. And so getting ready on my way to go up to Vermont, I was like, Allie, should I bring like some paint and materials, and then like while we're up there and the boat is like in the water the entire week?
Oh my gosh!
I was like,
that's just such the most Grandpa Jack.
I know it is.
Heard.
I know it is.
Oh my gosh!
And so that's what's so funny about it is that she's like, Ben, don't do that. Like that, just do not spend the week painting your trailer while we're in Vermont. And I'm like, but it's the only time I'll ever get to do it. She's like, don't do it, Ben. And so on our way
should
up,
I leave these roof shingles at home too? Because I was going to reshingle the cabin.
Because why not? You know, it's like someone's got to do it.
You say why not, but on more than one occasion, our dad's cousins, Will and Mike, have been reshingling the house while we were there.
It's true. That's true. This is just how Vermont is. It's like the part of the fun is like busting out the tools and doing something awesome. Anyway, so on our way up though, we stopped at Grandma and Grandpa's house so that we could see them before we went on to our final destination.
Yeah.
Wherein we were out and Grandpa was looking over the boat because he's the one who gifted it to me.
Yeah.
And so, he had to give it like a stern looking over.
Gotta give it the old like,
which I was very nervous about.
Yeah.
And so we're standing there and he's like, while you're up there, you could paint the trailer. And Alice just looks at me and she was absolutely like gut busting. It was so funny.
That's amazing.
Oh man. So anyway, needless to say, I didn't do that.
Well, yeah. So the trailer still needs a coat of paint.
So the trailer still needs a coat of paint. So if anybody ever wants to come and just lift it, like in the air for a few minutes,
got like a spare crane. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd be in great shape then. I'd be able to really get something done.
Nice. Yeah. That'll do it for you.
I thought it was so funny. The whole time you were talking the story about pulling the weeds, though, I was like, this.
Man.
Let me just tell you,
dude. I'm so disappointed. I've been trying so hard not to have to call a plumber because I feel like that's the worst experience almost all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you're they're gonna come and they're gonna like try and upsell you on stuff you don't know about because you're not a plumber. And it's like I have one toilet that I think is like some of the time it's running a little bit longer, and I'm like, I know I'm just losing water on this. And then there's another toilet that Luke flushed something down, and now I can't flush the toilet very effectively at all.
Like an action figure.
It's like, I know exactly what it was because I saw it go down. He has like a little potty in his room that he can use if he wants, and then you just have to like empty it.
Okay.
But like built into that pot is this little like Arm & Hammer like air freshener thing.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And it fell into the stuff, but I couldn't see because it was covered by the.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so I didn't see it until after. And like typically when you're emptying it, you don't. It's like smells. So you just like dump and flush almost at the same time. And like I do that motion and I can see it swirling around. I'm like, oh no, the air freshener thing is in the, and there it goes. Ooh. And I was like, hopefully that just went down. And then I tried to flush again and I was like, this is not working.
Well, there is absolutely no stopping it.
But I got this like otherwise very cool like air plunger gun thing. Have you ever seen these things?
No.
Oh man, yeah. I was like, this seems cool. And it's just like you just like pump it full of pressure, and it's got this. It's like this expanding rubber ball that you put down the toilet, and then you just like pull a trigger and it goes boom, and it just sends this giant wave of like compressed air down the tube. And I was like, that had to work, and it has not worked.
I want one.
Yeah. So I mean, if you ever have a clog, let me know that you can't handle with a regular plunger.
Dude, I'm gonna go flush just a bunch of stuff.
Just like what? Yeah. So anyway, that's my problem. And I'm like,
you will not believe what happened as soon as I got home from work today.
But that was like another one. Is like, I know this is gonna be like lightly frustrating because like I'm gonna have to assemble it. I'm gonna like make sure everything's working right, and then hopefully I do it right and it works. And it's like, just putting it together was like a little finicky, but I got it. I think I was following the instructions, like pumping it up. It comes with this like mini wonky looking bike pump thing. I pump it up. I'm like, hope this doesn't like break the toilet or something. I had a much bigger problem. And like you pull the trigger and it's like right next to Luke's room. So it kind of makes this big like thump sound. And I'm like, oh man, I hope I don't like wake him up or cause a stir in the middle of quiet times. I'm really not going to be able to focus on anything.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. And I was like, how is this not working? This can't be that big a problem. Like, very annoying. So I have 2 toilet problems right now that I need to solve. And I feel like I'm just going to have to get to the plumber.
What a time to be alive.
I know, what a time to be alive. It's really, really frustrating. Hey, Ben, how about a fun fact about Abe Lincoln?
I was hoping you had one.
Well, of course I do. Yeah, this one I thought, as ever, I was like flabbergasted by the crazy life of Abraham Lincoln.
You mean glabberfasted?
Glabberfasted, indeed. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln himself created the Secret Service?
The only reason I knew this is just simply because of the irony of the fact that he was the one who invented the thing that protects presidents and could have maybe benefited from that.
Ben, the irony is deeper than you think.
Is it?
Not only did he is he the one who signed it? Oh, there's a bug on my computer. Or my screen is dead.
Whoa.
Man, I got it. Not only did Lincoln sign the legislation creating the United States Secret Service, but he signed it the night he was assassinated.
No!
Yes.
So close.
So close. However, the article, this does go on to say that the original intent of the Secret Service was not actually presidential protection. It was actually originally designed to combat widespread currency counterfeiting. And it was not until the killing of 2 more presidents that the Secret Service was formally assigned to protect the commander-in-chief.
Wow.
So, yeah. Crazy, right?
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Although it does occur to me, like, you go back to, like, one of me and you's favorite films is Catch Me If You Can.
Yes.
With
Cal Hanratty.
Cal Hanratty.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks.
Yep, I mean, pretty star-studded cast, so pretty solid. But like one of the big things that he's doing is like check fraud, where he is going through and effectively like creating his own checks, putting all of the right digits, numbers, and stuff like that on there. And prior to like bank tellers having those like little like you know what I'm talking about? Like
I know, the thing.
It runs through and it like scans it for robots and
routing numbers and stuff.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, it's very impressive. But it occurred to me, I was like, man, back in the day, the amount of the fragility of the entire system was so incredible. Like the ethics involved with like doing the right thing was I don't even know how far that would stretch. Did people just not think like that they could scam it?
I don't know. I mean, checks in general, it's just like you pull it out and it's like there's no actual transaction happening in that moment,
Right? Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You just I have this piece of paper here, and I am gonna write with a pen on it, and hand it to you, and we're good, right?
This was a concept to me.
We're good.
As a kid that I could not understand.
Right.
For the life of me. So we would go to the store and I'm like, Mom, can I get an action figure? And one of my no questions. Mom always said ask no questions, where the answer was obviously no. And mom would usually say, no, we don't have any money. But I think she actually meant was, no, you're not getting an action figure.
Yeah.
But I remember I would always be like, Mom, you can just write a check. They don't know.
Right, yeah, exactly, right? Like, you just write a check. You give it to them. We leave the store. No big deal. They're not going to find out for like a week or something.
I'll have my action figure for days before they realize anything was askew.
Yeah.
And then what are they going to do? Come and knock on our door?
For like, what, for $5? I don't think so.
Right, and they answer that question. But so then the other thing about it, too, was I was like, so there are dollar bills that have like an assigned amount of like money attached to them, like 5, 10, 15, no, not 15.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah, there's no $15 bill though.
Apparently I'm not familiar with it. 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. And I was like, you can just write anything on the check,
Right, like
what if I were to write like $1 million?
Yeah.
Like, would they just give me $1 million? Like I was like so certain that is how it could work.
Right.
I was like, I don't understand why more people aren't just doing this.
People aren't doing this.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that like if I had lived during a different era of human existence, then I absolutely would have been the guy from Catch Me If You Can.
You'd have just been like a total check fraud con man.
Especially if like 7-year-old me had anything to do with it.
Right. Yeah. That's it, man. This is just, I don't understand why people aren't doing this. You just write down how much you have. That's it.
I have sheer blind confidence that this would work.
Yeah.
As a small child.
As a small child, right? Yeah. Okay.
Turns out checks work a little bit differently. So I can see why Lincoln felt it was necessary to find a way to combat currency
Who's
fraud.
to say they even had checks back then? They probably just had like cash, I'm guessing.
Cash money?
You think they had like a check system in place when Lincoln was president?
Man, that's a really good question. Would checks predate cash? Like a
I wouldn't
note?
think so. Well, I don't know.
What would come
checks
first?
are basically just like an IOU. They're like, I don't have the money, but if you take this to those people, they'll give it to you on my behalf. Like, all right.
See, I mean, like whoever agreed to this idea in the first place? Like, it was if they invented checks today, it would be rampant. Right. It would be a huge problem.
There'd be so much check fraud. Yeah, now it's just like, let me scan this card and the money goes directly from me to you like now.
Right now, and also if you don't have enough, it tells me.
Right, yeah. And then I have a total panic sweat and I'm like, oh my god, that's it, we're destitute.
I know. Yeah. We had our bank was purchased by like a different bank like a year ago or something. It wasn't even recently. And so like a bunch of the like cards that we had, it was my same bank for like business and personal.
Yeah.
And so like every card in my wallet all of a sudden like stopped working.
Yeah.
Which also came with that difficulty of then like you start getting the emails.
Yeah.
Which is just like, it shouldn't be like allowed for this to happen. I mean, obviously I don't know any other way around it, but all of a sudden I just started getting like a myriad of emails. It was just like, your payment was declined. And it's like every single time, without fail, it gives me a panic attack.
Oh, yes, exact same. Yeah, like if you just like cancel a card or like it expires and they just send you a new one, but you haven't updated it on like every app you happen to be paying for or whatever service or whatever.
Yep.
This is a great way to just find out what your subscriptions are in case you totally forgot.
I know, it's so
like,
true.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like one, it's like, oh yeah, do you want to renew your Hulu Plus account? And you'd be like, oh yeah, no. They're like, but if you don't, we're gonna cancel it. And it's like, that's okay. It's cool.
Here's my problem is that this has happened with a couple of these, and it's like it's one of those where I'm like, oh man, I didn't even realize I was still paying for that. So thank you for the reminder, but also I'm not willing, like now that you already can't take my money, I'm not willing to go through the process of actually formally canceling my membership.
Oh.
So I just keep getting notification emails, and it's like, your card was still declined, and it's like, yeah.
That is, but even like when you
That's
know,
fine.
like you just got the new card, it'll be like your card. This card doesn't work, and like it's like I know what the reason is. My brain is immediately like someone stole my identity. Like that's it. Oh my god,
It happened.
This is the worst. I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh. And it's like, no, let me just update this information. Okay, we're good.
Sometimes I feel like the fact that we grew up with dad on TV during the period of time that like credit cards maybe were becoming like that much more prominent.
Yeah.
Made it so that my fear of identity theft or internet hackers,
right,
getting my info.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was doing like pieces on this because it was like from like a journalism standpoint, it was good to like talk about the potential ramifications of like the new technology. And,
right.
Like here are the issues that people are running into and like what's coming up or whatever. And I mean, to be fair, like he probably wouldn't be posting those stories if it wasn't happening to a lot of people. So like important stuff. But I do think it also ingrained into me as like, it's just lurking behind it and like every corner all the time. Like it's always about to happen.
Right. Now that you've said it, I'm like, is that not what everyone thinks?
Maybe it is what everybody thinks.
Maybe it is what everyone thinks, but yeah, like I do have that feeling all the time. Like it's just like more like a ticking clock than anything.
Yeah,
which I hope is not true. Yeah, that'd be terrible.
I know that would be. Anyway, transition. So Jay, I talked all about going to Vermont, but you have not told me like a sliver of a story about your week at the beach yet.
Not even one sliver of one story?
Not even one sliver of one story.
Well, my goodness, that seems unfortunate.
I know. Yeah. So I don't know. I basically don't know what happened. As far as I know, you went to a large sandbox.
I did. I mean, what else is the beach, really?
Claimed it to be a beach.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was, we went to the beach with Beth's parents and then Beth's brother and Beth's brother's wife. So, really just my family plus 4 more people.
Okay.
Grandparents, aunt and uncle, great. They don't have any kids, so that was pretty much it. It was a pretty good trip. We went to Curie Beach in North Carolina, which I had not been to before. It was pretty similar to Holden Beach, the beach we've gone to the most in our life.
Okay.
In terms of like, we got like, once you were on the beach itself, like very few people, not like, there's not like giant hotels and like giant super slammed beach. It felt like you had your section of the beach and there was maybe like 5 people on one side of you 10 yards away and 5 people on another side of you another 10 yards away. Like you had a lot of space.
A lot of room.
Yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did the kids go through any like massive milestones in terms of beach going behaviors?
Oh, for sure. So like we've brought everyone to the beach before. I think the first time we ever brought Luke, he was very much in his potted plant stage.
Okay.
Where you could just like lay him there. And that was actually really great because the ocean itself provides like, endless white noise.
Like super quality white noise.
Yeah, like perfect. There's like no distortion at all. I mean, geez.
No crackle or anything.
No
battery can't
no
die.
suddenly repeating like, wait, haven't I heard this wave crash before?
Oh.
Pretty sure I can time the thunder crash on this next raindrop. Hold on. That's the worst about white noise apps when it's like, because I like the thunder ones, but like the thunder ones always have like a very noticeable thunder pattern.
Oh, see, no, it's that very reason that I don't like the thunder ones.
Yeah,
I just like pure rain.
Yeah.
Just rain.
Well, this is like, I want the perfect thunder white noise, but it doesn't exist because it always just loops and it's not good. So anyway.
Why can't people go out and record just a quality 12 hours of consistent, steady
exactly.
thunderstorm?
Nature, can you please just provide a nice quality thunderstorm that lasts for 12 hours? Come on.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Someone needs to get out there and record it with great microphone equipment and then put it on an app. Anyway, not the point. So we used to be able to just like put Luke on this like big beach towel, like in the shade, like under a tent. And as long as someone was sitting next to him and could like look over, you could just let him sit there and he'd sleep for like hours. That was great.
Yep. That's amazing.
Then we, it's kind of the same thing with the twins when we brought them the first time. They were kind of also like worked out potted plants. They just laid them there. They're not going anywhere.
Yep.
It was great. Go to sleep. Everyone is up and moving now though. So everyone's running. And they all have like pretty good water experience at this point. Like they all do swim lessons. They all went to Hilton Head with our family earlier this year where they all got in the pool all week. And then me and Beth went to the lake earlier this summer and they were all swimming around in there and jumping off the docks. So that was pretty fun. The ocean is, a different beast though, as it does have the waves and the shifting sands and stuff.
That's true. That's true.
So, Luke has been in the ocean a little bit before, and Nick and Nate very much not at all. At least not with any like cognitive memory of it. So we got down there, and I mean, Nick especially, but all three of them loved it. They would just like stand in the surf. They could just stand there forever, and the waves would come and just, you know, crash into them. Nick would let out this like squeal of excitement, like wave after wave. It was like every 30 seconds, he'd just be like, ah! You know, loved it so much. And it was like the only thing really holding him back from standing down there all day is that, you know, they're still not big enough to like stand there by themselves, and you have to like physically bend over and like hold them to make sure they're not falling under the water.
Dude, this is like what they don't tell you about parenting is like the slight like craning of the back that is required for like helping your child like walk or guiding them through something or helping them stand or whatever. It's like it is like the turbo button of your physical existence is just being forced down for like a screeching amount of time.
Yeah, and it's like I feel so bad because it's like they're having so much fun. You're like, I gotta go sit down. I gotta like stand up. We gotta take a break from this for a while.
I need a yoga class.
Yeah, just like all I'm doing is bending down. It's like not really that hard. But no, they all really loved it. Luke, he would stand there. He didn't need anyone to like hold him as much, and he would just stand there and like just try and keep his balance in the waves. And it was like this constant pattern of like getting a wave, going a little bit further, get hit by a wave, going a little bit further. Then eventually like one would come up that would be like a little bit stronger, and it would like, you know, unearth him a little, and he'd be like, and he'd like go sprinting back up into the sand and be like, and then he'd like work his courage back up and come right back down and start doing it again.
Oh wow, nice.
So that was pretty fun. And yeah, then Nick and Nate would just, as long as you would stand there with them, they would just stand in the surf all day. Yeah, and just get hit by the waves.
They'd still just be out there.
They'd still just be out there, yeah.
So
no problem.
Do you remember, because I feel like there's a part of me that gets like very excited about the prospect of like the kids all being able to go out there and just like withstand the waves. Because I feel like as kids, when we went to the beach, we just lived in the water.
Yeah.
But I also felt like there reached a stage where it was like what you did, like going and playing in the ocean, was like intentionally going and having it just annihilate you. Like I feel like I have like these like fond memories for some reason of like being probably 5, 6, 7 years old again, and just like literally the waves pounding me into and dragging me across the sandy bottom of the beach. And it's just like, why was I doing, like, was I doing it wrong? Was I just out there like just...
You're having fun? I don't think so.
I guess so. I feel like it was almost like a rite of, like, again, like a rite of passage where it was like you go out there and it's like this is part of it. Like you have to be able to endure like those 4-footers, and it's like now as an adult I don't want to go anywhere near a big wave, but as a kid, like I wasn't surfing them. I was letting them hit me on purpose.
Just like boom. Yeah, I do remember. I mean, it's kind of fun because you're like, oh, here it comes, and because I think like as a kid, it's like you're looking at it and it looks like this giant force is going to come hit you, but then it does hit you, and it's actually like you can sort of withstand it.
It's maybe you're right. Maybe that's a part of it. Yeah.
It's like you feel like oh, I'm like so, I don't know, like powerful. I could like get hit by a wave, this big wall of water. It's nothing to me.
If only there was like epic music playing during like a training montage and it was shot in slow motion, and like you could see me like unwaveringly like water goes everywhere.
Yeah. Or even just like diving straight into the waves, I thought was always fun. That was just sort of like you're gonna get right through it, but it's gonna sort of be this like ruffling, like kind of, I don't know, big tumble sort of sensation as you do it.
Yeah, that is fun too. I still do that.
Yeah. I think the thing I always love doing is just like body surfing, just like getting in the wave and trying to see how far into shore I can ride it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always been my favorite thing to do. And I feel like this is like a weird hidden talent of mine.
You are good at it.
I don't want to brag, but I'm very good at it.
I am a great body surfer.
I'm really good at body surfing. I think part of it was a few times we went to the beach with our cousins, and they used to go to the beach with our grandparents on our mom's side of the family.
Yep.
And I suppose I've never been to the beach with them, but I hear tell that Grandpa Len was also quite the body surfer.
Oh,
that he knew what was what
out
there in the ocean. And so our cousins he would be like, oh yeah, I would learn from Grandpa Len, and then like would boast his own body surfing, and I'd be like, no way, I got you, man. And that was my mission. Anytime we were at the beach, it's like, anytime we're out there body surfing, I'm going farther than you. Okay, it's like this is my goal for the week.
I'm gonna get nothing but like the tip of my nose by the end of the week is gonna be bloodied because I'm going to body surf in so close to shallow water that it's dragging.
I mean, it absolutely happens, Ben. You know, sometimes you take a forehead full of sand, and you just got like a red scab there for the rest of the week, but it's worth it because you made it like all the way to shore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're like battle scars. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. No.
The worst for me is like when I end up inadvertently like dragging like my bottom jaw across the bottom.
Yeah,
of the,
you don't want to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's certain times of day where it's definitely not good to do it. And yeah, I've had a few times where you hit your face on the sand and like that's not good. You don't want that. But the more you do it, the more you learn. Like, okay, I'll just go streamline. If I can tell I'm getting near the shore, you just like lower your hand some, and they'll just feel the ground for you before your head hits it. And
Oh wow.
there you go.
So,
All these tips and tricks.
I know. Yeah. Are you writing a book or
Yeah.
like tip number 1?
What I always get, this is like, it's such a fun sensation because like I think I'll do it and people are like, how are you doing that? And just be like, oh man, no. It's like you can't. I mean, I wish I could teach it, but it's really more of a feeling.
I was just born this way.
I was born this, I just got it, man. But it's like I love it because it's the sort of thing that like it's like riding a bike. Like once you're in the waves, it's like I know exactly what to feel for on the bottom. And it's like as soon as I can feel it coming, it's like this is the one. You'd be like this wave, no, not this wave. This wave, here we go. We're in.
Do you think that you end up taking it like incredibly seriously in your head, like as if like you literally are?
Like there's people watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like people like because I used to do this like while I was like mowing the lawn.
Same.
Like you'd like you would expect like people like walking by right now. They're like, look at this guy go.
This is like the most perfectly cut lawn I've ever seen.
Is he going pro? Or?
But exactly.
He's in the circuit.
Right.
But no, I was just thinking about this the other day about how I used to, I would skimboard.
Yeah.
And it was like, skimboarding was this thing where it felt like there was like the boogie board, which I almost feel like it's a bit of a bad rep because like there's body surfing, which like it's kind of like I don't even need the board.
That's exactly my opinion.
Yeah.
That's exactly. People are like, yeah, that was one of those things where it's just like, it's like I know I need to get past that opinion. It's like, okay, so one of the things with this beach trip was that we were on like a second row house.
Okay, yep.
So every morning, basically, everyone gets up, has breakfast, and then it's like, all right, let's get ready for the beach, which is an ordeal with the 3 kids.
Right, you got like sunscreen.
You gotta
suits.
you got everyone in the sunscreen, you got everyone in the bathing suits. It's like everyone's got to go potty before you go. Everyone's like, and then you gotta load up like your wagon, and you gotta fit all the chairs in there. And then it's like sometimes the kids want to walk, and sometimes they want to ride in the wagon, and sometimes they only want to ride in the wagon if someone else is walking, or they want to stretch out their legs. Whatever.
Yeah.
Huge process, tremendous effort to get there. But we got there.
Right.
There's also no ramp to get to the beach. You did this wagon on the stairs. That was a real problem.
Oh man,
real
you should have just like full send and just like shoved it.
Yeah. Exactly. Just brrr. All right, we're there. But yeah, like one of the things. So like you had to deal with like packing the wagon every day, and like sometimes it'd be like, oh yeah, I'd see people like throw boogie boards in, and I'd be like, who needs boogie boards? Like, what do you guys? What this is just wasted space.
Have you
guys have seen me shredding out there?
Right? The Jonathan Garland School of Body Surfing open season.
Y'all leave these here. Y'all just watch me in the waves for a little bit. You'll get the hang of it.
And what you want to do is put your hand down to touch the bottom so that you don't run into it.
Yeah, that's really more of an advanced move. Right now, we just want to focus on catching the wave, moving forward. I don't think that said, though, I still don't think anyone used the boogie board all week.
It is a beach accessory that I think that people bring and don't use. I will gladly hand that to you.
This was my a beach accessory you don't need was like my constant like physical state of thought, because like I think. Like as a kid, I would wake up like as soon as possible. As we've discussed on the pod many times, I was an early riser, and I would, I would like eat breakfast. I would put on my swim trunks and I would have sunscreen on. And all I was waiting was for the first adult to get up to be like, yeah, you can go outside.
Right.
And I'd just sprint down to the beach. Don't need anything.
Right.
Like I'm holding nothing. I don't even have a towel.
Right.
Let's come back. You don't need a towel.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the water the whole time.
It'll be draped right over the edge of the deck, right where I left it as soon as I get back.
That's where it belongs, man. We're at the beach.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And it's just like the amount that has changed as an adult is astounding. It's just like, how did I ever get away with going to the beach carrying nothing? Because like now there's like, you need chairs, there's umbrellas, there's tents, there's water bottles, there's snacks, there's sand toys, there's like blankets, and it's just like and like in my mind I'm like, I don't think any of this is necessary to have fun at all.
Right. I'm uninterested in bringing any of this.
I'm like, if it was up to me, we'd all be walking there barefoot without towels, and we'd be in the water the whole time, obviously. And then when we were done, we'd just walk back to the house. So this is ridiculous. Yeah.
We'll be body surfing. It'll be good.
We'll be body surfing.
This is it's actually a very interesting. I think I can have a small segue here to a different topic I wanted to discuss, but it's you and I are in the process right now of planning a GMA backpacking excursion.
That we are
here in about a month, which we're pretty excited about. And it's I did it, I think, in 2020. I think, was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago that I went and did it. And it was the far and away hardest physical endeavor that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I would like to say that I think that that's like maybe saying something. Like, I feel like we've done some like pretty tough physical activities before. And I think a huge part of it was because, I mean, there's lots of elevation change, gain, all that type of stuff, carrying a heavy backpack. But I was carrying like 41 pounds of backpack, which is just...
it's way too much.
It's just simply too much.
Yeah.
And so I was reading a lot about like when it comes to backpacking equipment, it's sort of this like odd thing that, and maybe you'd expect this and maybe you wouldn't, but it's like any other hobby where like the better the equipment, the lighter it is, the more expensive it is.
Right.
And so it's like I have myself having like this battle of what is worth purchasing for an activity that I do so infrequently.
Right.
Because no matter what, the infrequency of doing it is like you still, if anything, you are less qualified and facing it with even less prepared equipment.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because everything's heavy.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's like an odd one where like a tent, for example. Like I've been trying to find like a potential tent.
Yeah.
For this
potential.
Potential.
Nailed it.
But one of the really big issues is it's like, how do you like can you spring for like a $200 2-man tent that's big enough to hold you by yourself and your gear?
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you're not even talking about a tent that you could like take the family camping with. This is like capable of holding you,
right,
as one person,
right. Like this is, and it's gonna cost you a lot of money, and probably you'll use it for maybe 7 full nights of sleep the whole time you own it.
Yeah. And until it becomes obsolete and isn't even worth like reselling to someone else.
Right.
You know, because at this point in time they're making them out of like stitched together air or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And then the other part of it is almost exactly what you just said about going to the beach, which I was reading that people were like, okay, like don't bring any of your like what if items, and the what if items are like the things like, well, what if I need this?
Oh yeah, no, I hate what if items.
Right, and I was like, oh, this is gonna Jay's gonna love this philosophy.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I'm not believe it or this is like one of those things where it's like I have this like tremendous like stored pool of knowledge like about backpacking.
Oh, interesting. From like the Boy Scout days?
Boy Scouts. Like, I don't know if you went on as many of the trips.
I didn't.
Backpacking wise, but like I went on a lot of backpacking trips with the Boy Scouts that were like full day hikes, carrying stuff the whole time. 20 kids out there, and it was like, you know, what you had on your back made a big difference. Yeah. And you know what? It's like I think most of the tents slept 2 people, and you know you'd split up the tent stuff. But these were tents that were intentionally bought to be used for years and years and years by, you know, trip after trip after trip. So like
kids,
kids, and they have to be. So they were very durable and very reusable, but the end product is also heavy.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And that's the absolute balancing act too. It's like as you go through and like you'll like be like researching a tent and you're like, hey, this one only weighs like 3.5 pounds, but its comfort like rating is like a 4 out of 10, and it's like, which is even one of those questions where I'm like, what makes a tent more or less comfortable? No matter what, it's a thin piece of fabric.
I know, and it's like to me, it like I would. It's like I'm wagering as far as like tent purchasing that like I am expecting that I'm going to be so exhausted from the hike itself that comfort will not be a tremendous issue, provided you can find almost any amount of like flat ground.
Yeah,
So-
which will be achievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. So now I'm very curious about this because this will be something like fun to like look back on as well.
Yeah.
So do you have like any like qualms, nerves, concerns, worries? Is there anything like a piece of tech or equipment you're like excited to like hunt out?
Mostly just the backpack itself. I think that's probably the most important thing. Like everything else is like you probably can control the weight of a little bit, but the pack itself, I'm like thinking that'll be like that. That to me seems like the most reusable piece of equipment.
Sure.
Because we've also talked about doing like adventure races and stuff, or like with the GMA as well. And it seems like I would maybe like want to have something I didn't have to buy a second backpack to do that for.
That's
or something.
true. Yeah. So it's got to be like a twofer.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, and then I'm also the thing I'm weirdly the most concerned about is like the footwear, because like the phrase hiking boots is like that's a common phrase, that's an article of clothing. But to me, like hiking boots feels like a counterintuitive thing. 'Cause it's like boots are heavy.
Yeah.
And this is a long hike. So like the obvious advantage is that your feet will be well protected, but they are going to be heavy on your feet. So where do you draw the line between like weight and durability versus I guess like comfort and trail readiness?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like your standard like running shoe is probably like not
very bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not going to be like the appropriate foot attire. But
Right.
I am actually having this exact same problem because I have always kept a pair of hiking boots in my arsenal specifically for like doing the occasional actual like day hike type thing. But otherwise I use it for like all of the yard work, woodland adventure type things that go on.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like hiking boot is sort of like a catch-all, but what it really means is like outdoors boot.
Yeah.
And I feel like a hiking shoe maybe isn't a boot, but this is like where it's like I'm so far removed where it's like I don't know. And it's like as a kid I didn't think about it, and it's like I just endured all problems.
You just wore
Yeah.
like literally what you had at your disposal.
Right.
Yeah.
Because also there was no ability for me to shop around. It was use what you have or don't go.
Right.
And also not going is not an option because we signed you up and you're going. So deal with it.
So it's happening.
Yeah, so it's happening.
Okay. So we'll have to continue to report back on how hike prep is going.
How hike prep is going.
And the hike that we are doing, for what it's worth, in case anybody out there is curious or interested in scoping out the route, is called Linville Gorge, which is in North Carolina and is grueling.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. You guys all did it.
We all did it, and I would say that like the first mile you gain 1,000 feet of like elevation, so that means that you're going like over the course of the first 5,280 feet, you are vertically traveling up 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Which means that I don't know. I remember getting to the end of the first mile last time we did it, which is like you walk out of the parking lot and go up. Like,
Yeah.
You know, your nose is like immediately scraping the ground. It's like, oh my gosh. I remember getting to the end of that mile and being like, if I went back to the car right now, I would go home and do nothing else for the rest of the day. Like,
Right.
That is how hard it was. It was like, oh dear, what am I getting myself into for the rest
Right.
of this? But then it ends up being just like a huge amount of fun. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Is the rest of the hike after the first mile way more manageable?
I would say it's a lot more manageable. Yeah.
I also feel like I have the benefit of going with you guys who have now done it before.
Also true.
So there will be, I feel like that will at least help avoid a bunch of first time pitfalls
Absolutely.
that I will not have to deal with. That said, on the other end of that, the fact that our friend John has done it before is mean he's going to want to try different things.
That's absolutely
Which
true.
is,
I know for an absolute fact because there were things you wanted to try last time we
Yeah.
did it, and we didn't. We were like, no, we're too tired. Like,
Yeah.
we can't do it.
Yeah.
And so I feel fairly certain those things will happen this time.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind about that because I've just known John forever. So,
Yeah. So my game, I have a weight vest at home that I for like weightlifting and stuff. So I'm thinking I might bring that into the office for our walking treadmills and
Oh,
literally
nice.
just like weight vest it up
There you
while
go.
while we're chugging along.
While we're chugging along there for the step competition.
For the step competition, which is happening over on, happening through our Discord right now across all of our Patreon servers, which is a really brilliant segue into if you would be interested in supporting Popcorn Culture on Patreon. We do a lot of fun kind of Discord only events, which you can get Discord access at the $5 tier. For example, in the month of June and in the month of August, we have had step competitions where everybody is basically having like their respective trackers and everything all contributing to an app that we all exist in, and it's a really great app that like does a good job of like keeping track of like who the current leaders are and like how the respective teams are performing, which has been a lot of fun. I know you've been stepping a ton.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun in this particular round of the step competition.
Yeah,
that was also a big part of my beach trip.
Oh, was it really?
It was. I mean, not like big, but that was like my pulling weeds, where it was like, oh, it's quiet time. It's like, oh, better get some steps in.
Go get some steps.
Because it's like, this is the thing I'm discovering too, is like I track steps throughout the day. It's like typically in the morning I get it in like a lot of steps. Like even by the time I get to work, I'm usually between like 2,000 and 3,000.
Yeah,
it's like
same.
I'm moving around a lot. I'm getting ready. I'm helping kids do things. I'm getting there. But then a lot of times, like if I'm not doing the walking treadmill, like almost like I will maybe get to 4,000 steps by the end of the work day.
Right.
Because we just don't move around that much at the office. And then it's like, then you go home and it's like, maybe there's like another, like the end of the day is just not as movement heavy.
Right.
And then it's like, yeah, you put the kids to bed, maybe that's another 500,000 steps. But then, so it's like I front load it and I'm like, oh man, I feel like, look how far I already am. But then I get to the end of the day and I'm like, I haven't even come close to doubling where I was this morning.
I know it's really, it is a weird thing. And it's like something that I think it's part of what inspired me to do the walking treadmill in the first place was this exact thing where it's like, man, it'd be so nice just to be able to get to the office and just like rack them up throughout the day, which you've been fantastic about. And anyway, the point is that, yeah, we have the step competition going on right now. We also host like a Discord only fandom trivia event every other month.
Yep.
So that's kind of something where if you've ever done one of the live Super Carlin Brothers trivia events that typically have about 2,000 people kind of hanging out in it. If you do like the Discord version of it, it's really nice because it's just a much smaller pool of people. So it's a really great opportunity to just kind of like hop in, ask questions. You could you and I throughout the course of like a 2.5 hour stream, I feel like we get to like almost talk to like everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's that much more intimate. So again, that's all under the $5 tier on Patreon, which you can visit at patreon.com/popcornculture. So definitely go and check that out. Otherwise, if you have any feedback for this week's episode, you can send that over to popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Otherwise, until next time,
Pop.